Bangladesh is spoiled on the last day.
পুরোটা করবো আপনি এক সেট
We meet in difficult circumstances. Bangladesh is poised on the crucial last leg, the home stretch as it were of the electoral race to the 11th parliamentary elections. Instead of being a time of festive competition, the campaign trail has fast turned into a nightmare. The election road is pitted with serious obstacles, threats, intimidation, violent attacks on motorcades, and directly against the person of candidates and voters. These are not stray incidents, but controlled and appear to be premeditated actions designed systematically to exclude opposition leaders and candidates so that through injury or even death they are excluded from the electoral contest. They are part of a systemic pattern that has long been in the making, as it seems, and is now being played out. As they have repeatedly highlighted, the key to holding credible elections in Bangladesh revolves around two critical institutions. One, an impartial poll-time government. Two, a powerful and independent election commission. Both have been severely compromised through tinkering with the constitution. Under the 15th Amendment, the incumbent political government is to oversee the polls within 90 days preceding the dissolution of Parliament. A strange duality has been imposed. Incumbent members of Parliament continue to sit in place, along with new aspirants. Ministers who are lawmakers still retain their position and considerable powers, even though they are contesting candidates. There is an inherent and inbuilt discrimination that is apparent to all. Any hope of a level playing field has been sundered from the outset. The Election Commission in Bangladesh is anything but independent. Under the 15th Amendment, the Election Commission is incapable of exerting independent authority. The entire electoral machinery, including administrators, police and magistracy, has been totally politicized by the government, meaning subordinated to its political control with inducements to them to keep them loyal. Thus, the main purpose of the Awami League's 15th Amendment was to provide clear electoral advantage to facilitate manipulation of the electoral process and tamper with the integrity of the electoral system. But this did not stop there. The overall aim soon manifested itself. It was to pave the path to one-party rule by decimating the opposition. Step by step over the last 10 years, the government consolidated its authoritarian rule and tightened its hold on the country. The independence of the judiciary was undermined by intruding into the realm of separation of powers guaranteed by the Constitution. The 16th Amendment fiasco resulted in the ignominious resignation and ouster from the country of the former Chief Justice. Disciplinary rules framed for the lower judiciary by the executive brought full circle the breach in the balance of power. Attack on our candidates during the election campaign goes on to such an extent that ruling party cadres continue to be desperately violent. It is needless to mention that Bangladesh never experienced such a violent election scenario. While some may consider this election as inclusive and participatory, but electioneering is totally marred by violence against the opposition. Since electioneering began on 10th December, motorcades, campaign rallies and offices and even houses of more than half of the 300 candidates from Jatiya Front have been attacked by supporters of AL and police at different places across the country. At least 49, now I have number 51 candidates of Jatiya Front have been injured by attackers and some of them are seriously injured. Even a female candidate, Rumana Mahmood of Sirajganj 2, was injured by firing and a baton charge on her. I have given the names here of some 50 members who have been victims of physical attacks, and some of whom have been arrested and are in prison. A total number of 1,574 cases have been filed to date against the Jatiya ঐক্য Front leaders and activists across the country between November 8 and December 25. So, in those cases, 125,688 were named and 5,675 were unnamed accused. Police arrested 15,568 opposition persons in the last 1.5 months. More than 2,833 attacks were carried out by ruling Awami League men and police on opposition persons over the same period, leaving 12,923 injured. 9 opposition persons were killed in those attacks. Jatiya Front is no candidate in 17 of the 300 seats. 17 candidates of the Jatiya Front out of 300 has been cancelled by the court. First, many of them were cancelled by the returning officer. Then they appealed to the Election Commission and legalized their candidacy. Though declaring their candidacy by EC, all responsibility goes to EC rather than the respective party of candidates. EC did not play any role to protect their candidacy or change. This means that BNP would have put up fresh candidates in those constituencies if an opportunity is afforded. 7 Jatiya Front candidates have been arrested since the poll schedule was announced on November 8. 10 more Jatiya Front candidates have been languishing in jail. Now, this is to just give you an indication of the atmosphere and the environment in which a free and fair election is aimed to be held tomorrow. Now, from just sample of the events I have told you about, the attacks on the person and homes and house and property of candidates and party leaders throughout the country. I am getting phone calls every so often from districts saying people are very enthusiastic about elections, they want change through elections. The one word that you find is common throughout Bangladesh, and if you walk on the streets and can ask somebody what do you expect from the election, they say Poriborton. That is the word for change. Everyone wants Poriborton. I would ask all of you present here not to give me any answer, but I ask you to ask yourself, do you not get the answer Poriborton? If anyone asks you what you expect from tomorrow's election. I have over the years, I have now been involved with elections and politics for more than 50 years. I have never seen one where violence is being perpetrated on candidates and their supporters in the way in which we are now seeing it and the reports we are getting. I am myself terribly overwhelmed to see that in Bangladesh this level of violence can be perpetrated. And with the government being, I would say, at least allowing it to happen if not inducing it. Because I would say that the government is under an obligation to take steps to protect the environment so that conditions are there for a free and fair election. If people are subject to attacks, physical attacks, invasion of their homes, I get a phone call from district. 2 of our houses have been attacked. They have come in and ransacked things inside the house. From reputable candidates, people of international standing who have come back, one from a senior position in the United Nations has come back to contest elections. I rang him up. Yes, there is enthusiastic response to our candidature, but 3 of my houses have been broken into, and by people with government support, encouragement, backing, they've broken up things. What are we to do? I said, try to protect yourself. And the irony is, if the police is to carry out its constitutional function, not to do us any favors, the police under the constitution and the law is obliged to protect the property and person of everyone. Not on on the basis of their party affiliation. But any citizen who is attacked, any citizen whose house is attacked, is entitled to police protection. This is so in all countries which have constitutional orders. We have a constitution which clearly provides for this. Everyone's person and property is protected. If there is any attack on the person or property, police protection is a right. It is not a favor. Why the police has not been able to do this? I believe if there is any change that comes about in Bangladesh, the first task will be to find out why so much violence was permitted to happen in the days and weeks approaching the election. I am myself shocked, amazed, that in Bangladesh, where our independence movement was, to remind those who are not old enough to remember 1971, was because we had cast our vote and the central government wouldn't respect that. They would not respect the votes we had given, so they launched a military attack on us. I remember also when the then President Yahya Khan was asked by Mr. Kissinger, when Yahya Khan said, they say I am a dictator. Kissinger said, I don't know if you are a dictator or not, but how did you manage to have an election where you had such overwhelming defeat? 167 was won by us and 2 by the others. So Yahya Khan said, but my intelligence said, Bengalis will never unite. Now that unity is something we achieved in 71, and as a result we have our independence as a reward for our unity. Also, if you think about it, since the last 47 years, when have we had the most significant success when we have united? United against dictatorial governments, united against corruption. We have got an extraordinary response from our people. Today also we formed this national unity because, as I said, if you ask people, what do you expect from the election? I assure you that I would say that 99% will say Purivartan, change. I would very like to meet the 1% which might say they do not want change, because I would like to know who they are. They will be very privileged persons in my eye who think they have such a special position that when 99% of people are dissatisfied, grossly dissatisfied with the status quo, what they have had to live through, what they are having to live through, without protection of law, where your life and property is not protected, and therefore they want change. And this is because we have a democratic tradition. The expectation from tomorrow's election is peaceful change through a valid election and through exercise of the right to vote. Now, unfortunately, the violence that everyone has talked about, and they will give you specific instances, and since the candidates are all in their constituencies, we could not produce them here who tell you themselves. I am deeply, deeply, deeply shocked by what I hear on the telephone from them. They are not going to exaggerate to me. They are saying, everything was fine, people are very keen to vote. But we have been now repeatedly attacked for the last several days in our homes. So we have said, well, somehow muster your supporters and protect yourself against this kind of violence. In principle, you will all know that we have a constitution. The rule of law is part of the constitution. The police has a function under the law to protect anyone whose house or body is attacked. Why are people not getting the protection which they are entitled to under the constitution? It's not a favor. We are not asking police or government for any favors. We are only saying that what the constitution guarantees, that everybody's person and property are entitled to protection if anybody unlawfully attacks the person or the property of the person. Because this is certainly, people can attack persons and their property throughout the country. I am also shocked that this is not in one place. I am getting phones every few minutes that we are amazed that although people are keen on an election, we are getting tremendous support from people who are looking forward to the election, but suddenly now we find they are being attacked. Now who would be attacking them? this candidate is an opposition candidate. I leave it to you to imagine who is attacking it and why they are attacking. If you feel so confident, you don't do it. Very simple thing is, if as an incumbent you are confident, this is the last thing you do. But if you are nervous, if you are beginning to sense that people are not going to give you a verdict, you begin to do these outrageous things like attacking candidates, their supporters, their homes, and this is what has been happening. I hope some of you will have an opportunity to go outside Dhaka and find out for yourselves what's happening. Some places are not very far, even if now you can go out. I very much urge you to understand this ugly reality which has been generated because of the incumbents' nervousness of defeat. This is what they cannot countenance, that they will be voted out of power. And therefore, instead of relying on the vote, they are relying upon brute force against people in their homes and wherever they are, throughout Bangladesh. I mean, I am so deeply disturbed, you see, at the 47th year of Bangladesh. I've been involved with Bangladesh in the very first years, writing of the constitution, being a minister under Bangabandhu Mujibur Rahman. And, this was, when I asked him, what do I do? I was the draftsman of the constitution. So when I asked Bangabandhu, give me some guidelines, he said, just think of the dreams of the martyrs, people who gave their lives for Bangladesh. And why did they give their lives? Because in 71 there had been an election in which there was a clear decision given against the central government. The central government saying that the constitution should be rewritten so that more powers are given to these states, more regional autonomy should be given to Bangladesh. Because the central government, which had been exploiting us, could not accept that, they unleashed military force on us. And the leaders from there said, oh, you kill a few thousand people from Bangladesh, everyone will raise their hand and surrender. How little did they know us? How little did they understand our commitment to independence and freedom? We fought and created a history. In 9 months, the whole Pakistan army had laid their arms at our feet and surrendered. absolutely desperate way. And the only thing I can feel is the apprehension that in a free and fair election they know their time is up.
Can I just have a follow-up question, if I may, Doctor? You emphasise the word change throughout your speech. Would it not be fair to say, though, that politics in Bangladesh in the last 30 years has been dominated by two parties, one of which is obviously the largest party in your alliance here? How would you respond to that when you put so much emphasis on change?
But you know, change has also come through elections. That is what is interesting, is that the people in 2001 brought in the party that you talk about in 2001 through an election. But come 2008, they voted them out. So this to me is the distinctive feature of our people, that they are not committed to parties in a doctrinaire way. If they feel that they have underperformed or they have not fulfilled their promise, through exercise of the right to vote, you bring about change. That's what we would like to sort of see happen in Bangladesh. This change brought about through exercise of the free vote. Thank you.
This is mine. I'm from Shinhal Agency. So what message you have today to give from the end of your alliance, and especially from the end of your PLI, ex-Prime Minister Khaleda Zia's BNP and her party's acting chairperson Tariq Rahman, to greet people in home and friends, foreign friends, especially the global players, including China, just before the end of the elections. And the second question is that what you said is 99% people are now for change. So why we see a feeble position of you on the field?
No, well, I would not say feeble, but this is exactly what I've been saying, the intimidation. If you can inquire and find out the kind of force that is being directed at people's homes and persons, and your immediate thing, you're self-protective. You don't want to sort of just at the eve of the election be the victim of this kind of physical injury. So the extent of force that I have never heard this kind of complaint before, where two of the students have been saying, we are feeling terrorized in our homes, we are feeling terrorized by our immediate environment. Now this is what I call a reign of terror. So this is, I think, what I am most concerned about. That in Bangladesh we adopted a constitution which was to protect us from this kind of situation where it could be attacked at will by anybody. I say, for you to infer yourself, who do you think is launching these attacks on candidates and supporters? You find out. I think this would be the most valuable finding that you could make, is to find out who is attacking you, why are you being attacked. In an election, if your opponent should come and hold their meetings and say, no, those who are seeking your vote, we have done so much, we have done this, that and the other, fine. But they don't have any confidence in that. You said, you're not seeing much activity. Are you seeing much of sort of government coming out and saying why people should vote for them? I don't find any convincing appeal from the government of why they expect to continue for another few years.
Would you like to talk about the first question regarding the message you have for the
Sure.
people in home and foreign friends?
Yes, no, please exercise, sure. Please take an interest in our election. I'm very happy to see with the presence of so many foreign journalists that the whole world is taking an interest in Bangladesh's election, because this is the 7th largest country in the world, and although our territory is small, our population is very large. About 170 million people, and everyone, in a way, we remember how everyone related to us in 1971, because we fought for freedom and we won freedom in 9 months with enormous amount of international support. This is why, I remember when going abroad in those days, the early days of Bangladesh, young people flocking, whether it was London or New York, who is here from Bangladesh? I would say me, and I would find that distinguished leaders from other countries would all sort of find that everyone is flocking around me, because young people had this tremendous respect for Bangladesh, which had fought and won its freedom. Now, today also I believe the sympathy that we continue to enjoy in the world is Because people know that our commitment to democracy goes deep down. It's not just superficial, it's not just the educated elite, even the person in the village, because they fought in 71 for freedom. I remember very well when the leaders of the central government said, this support for more freedom, more powers for the regional government is only a phenomenon limited to Dhaka and Chittagong and a few cities. It's in writing, you kill a few thousand Bengalis, everyone else in the villages will stand up and support central government. How wrong they were. The liberation struggle was involved everyone in every village. The Indian general who was General Aurora, who was head of the Indian Armed Forces, which cooperated with us, when I told him, we appreciate what you did, he said, you embarrass me. We could achieve what we did in 71 because every village and every villager was involved in the liberation struggle. We used to get every minute information which enabled us to hit targets in a way which completely finished the other side. So this is a tribute paid by General Aurora, the head of the Indian Army, to Bangladesh. That every village was involved in this liberation struggle, and that's why even today if you go, I would encourage you to go to the villages and ask people what they remember of 71 and how they value democracy. Democracy is not just a luxury for the educated urban elite, it is something that every village values. Thank you.
So if I may ask a question, my name is Sam Jahan, I work for AFP. As you said, the statistics you give here sounds quite compelling. So if I may ask you, what is your realistic expectation for tomorrow? What's going to happen and what will be the consequences? It's only 14 hours left.
So my fear is what I have just said, that force, violence will keep people from going and voting. Second fear I have is manipulation of the voting process itself. You hear of people who will have stuffed ballot boxes, which is not by people but by the officials who are deputed to run the elections. We are getting these reports, that we are hearing that people from the government side are being given instructions of keeping at least 50% of false ballots, and if those ballots are kept real ballots, depending on how many are cast, they will calculate and then stuff the boxes with ballots which will be shown to be ballots in favor of the present government. Now, I'm not saying that you find out for yourself by asking people, do they have this fear or not? Are they afraid of ballot stuffing or not? Are they afraid of violence or not? And what has happened in the last few days is that give them a basis for some fearing, some genuine basis for fearing violence.
I have,
Yeah.
considering the circumstances that you have described, do you think that you can stick to end of this voting, like end of the election? Can you stick to that?
Well, all our parties are saying we have to stay till the end. It is a question of what forces are used, what conditions are created to make it impossible for us. At the moment, the determination is there to see it through.
Excuse me, hi. Under what kind of circumstance will you refuse the legislature? Being
Well-
a part of the alliance, you must have already discussed. But certain circumstances, you have to refuse.
Well, we have, unfortunately, in our experience, we have seen in the past also, sometimes our elections have been absolutely false and like under General Irshad, who took power through military force, and in 1986 he held elections. And in those elections, we have very clear memories of all various ways in which he got votes for himself and was elected, announced himself as the elected president after having seized power by force. The good news is that we had a movement against him. I was not able to live in my house for 3 months because every day my house was being attacked by General Irshad's people. Fortunately, on the 6th of December, which is also December, 6th of December, he was forced to resign, and we celebrated today also as Democracy Day. Now, I tell you that in what conditions he said, we will never go for elections under him. But what became our movement after 86 is that no more elections under General Irshad. On that point, and people would tell me, but you are living in the past, 66 you had a movement, you created Bangladesh in 71, but General Irshad is from Bangladesh. He speaks Bangla. Not only that, he writes Bangla poetry. Not only that, he gives all kinds of favors to people. They would say with some sort of, you are being fanciful to think that you can remove him. And he was telling everyone, in fact a British minister, that I am here for another 15 years. So the minister came to me and said, your president is very confident here for another 15 years. And this was in 1990, September. So I was a young lawyer, I said, I was irritated. I said, I don't see him here for another 15 weeks. So the minister laughed, the British minister, thinking I was a young person, very enthusiastic. He said, I wish you luck, and left. As things would be, he didn't last 15 weeks. This was September, 6th of December he left. In January I was in London. So people from the British Foreign Office said, Your Kamal Hussain, our minister who visited you, would like to see you. So I went to see that minister and he really stood up and said, how did you predict he would not be there for more than 15 weeks? So inwardly I laughed because it was a hope that I had expressed. It's not that I had any computer on which I calculated that he would be there for 15 weeks.
Actually, my point is that even after hearing the results from the Selection Commission, will you accept whatever the result is, or will you refuse conditionally?
No, well, I don't want to
And this is a question about future.
Yes,
Or they are-
no, but I'll tell you why it's not prudent to answer a question of if this, if that. What I will tell you is what we expect is a fair election. We expect an election where people are not forced to keep away from the vote or are forced to vote one way or where false results are declared. If any of these things happen, we must all sit in a very serious meeting and take a decision. And I don't want to preempt that decision by saying, I think we will do this, I think we might do this. That decision will be taken by all parties who are conducting the election. And there will be all kinds of options that they will have to consider. They can ask for the whole election to be reheld. That's always one option. That if the election commission is truly independent and an election has been foiled by force, they have the power to cancel this election and declare the holding of a new election, for example. So there are many options when you sit down and an election itself has been marred by force and by other illegal means. You can ask for different beliefs within the law. Basically, we are all parties committed to the Constitution, so all the options we will consider are all constitutional options. Thank you very much, thank you. And we are very happy all of you are here, and I'm very much invited to do some fact-finding on your own. Because, in the past also is the international press that has exposed these kinds of practices. We managed to remove General Irshad in 1990, because the international press picked up all the things here and created an environment in which our movement succeeded, although I had to remain not in my house for 3 months. At the end of 3 months, he had to resign, and what I forgot to tell you, we prosecuted him from corruption and he was imprisoned for 5 years. Yes, and then of course I am reminded that during our liberation struggle, 71, the foreign press played an invaluable role. Why people respect the foreign press from the depth of their soul, that the foreign press identified itself with the liberation struggle, gave support in such a way that they had never thought that in 9 months we would gain our liberation, but we did. So tomorrow, the same tradition, I hope that your role will be such that they will not be able to destroy the election through fraud or force. But if they do, you will also see what we will do within the Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you very much.